Scrap Addicts, how are you today? I hope that you are well. Michelle here from UglyBugPlans with this month's theme of clustering. Now, I must admit I'm not, until I started with UK Scrap Addicts, I wasn't really aware of the term clustering. It was just stick it where it looks good, if that makes sense. So yeah, now that this is our topic for this month, I've been watching, and well, not really watching, I'm still watching the same people, but just more aware of how different people cluster in different ways. And I don't really have like a set way that I cluster, but I will do everything on one layout the same. So if I start by putting using labels in a cluster, then I tend to, throughout the rest of that layout, use labels in my clusters. If I use enamel dots, I tend to stick with enamel dots. If I use puffy hearts, etc., etc. So I have noticed that that's a little bit of a theme that I have. Today I am using the Lottie Loves paper kit that I received this month, and I just really loved it because it's a really fun kit. And although it just comes with the papers, the papers were an add-on. It's the embellishments that I was kind of after, so it works perfectly for me. So anywho, you can see there that I've just chosen like a little label and one of the little cut out words. It's like a cut apart sheet that says my favourite. This was a really silly photo of my husband. He's recently grown himself a beard, and he found it really amusing to twirl it so that it stuck out at the sides, and he was just being a bit of a donk. So yeah, but it was really funny. We were both laughing at it. And you'll see this is the first card. So I've used the Puffy Word stickers, love this, and I cut them out of the sheet and I was trying to get them off the vellum the same spacing, just being lazy. I just didn't want to have to eyeball the spacing, but it didn't really work. So there's the Puffy Thickers stickers, and I absolutely love them. I did bring in these labels. Now are from a Studio Calico download that I've just downloaded and printed off, that I do my journaling on, and a stamp set from, again, I think this is Studio Calico. I didn't ink up properly the first time and had to re-stamp. And that just says time to be awesome. One of the little cork arrows. I really wanted to cluster the label up the top underneath that stamp, but it just didn't really work out. It kind of took your eye away from the photo. The whole point of the photo is that in our business Facebook group, UglyBugPlans, all the members refer to my husband as Dobby, and he was actually wearing a pair of my Harry Potter socks, so they were all a bit, why did you give Dobby some socks? So it was just the main emphasis was on his socks, so I didn't really want to take your eye away from that with the cluster of embellishments. And I do go back over and add in more puffy stickers once the overall layout is complete, because sometimes you need to wait until, especially with a pocket page layout, you need to wait until the end to see where your eye is being drawn and where it's not being drawn. And then add maybe a small cluster of embellishments to the places that your eye isn't naturally being drawn, but that you want it to be drawn. So this was a little photo of my son. It was the first day. My children are still quite young. He's just turned 6, and then I've got a 4-year-old and 3-year-old daughter. So this was the first water fight that they have had where no one ended up in tears. They were all soaking wet. Normally, as soon as a drop goes in one of their eyes, they're screaming and it puts paid to it all. But this was the first water fight where they all ended up so drenched, and there was no tears. So I really wanted to make sure that I documented that this week, and I got a really good action shot of them there. Again, you can see a theme is with the label and one of those little cutouts or cut parts that I just use my tiny tatcher to attach it together, but also just to give an extra like an extra dimension really to the cluster. It just makes it look a bit more 3D. I kind of tend to use my tiny tacher as like an extra something in the cluster, rather than it all just being flat and looking like one thing. So I used one of the puffy stickers there. I probably should have moved it up a teeny tiny bit, and I've just added one of the clear stickers that says "So Sweet." I really wanted to use one of the little swirly, because I've used the swirly puffy stickers down the bottom, and I wanted to put it on this photo. So I just added a couple of puffy hearts in, just to sort of, again, bring your eye down to that bottom corner. This was a completely random photo of my husband. Makes the best pancakes. Like, I'm the cook in the house, but he makes the best pancakes. Even with his recipe, I can't make pancakes like he does. So when we were packing for holiday, he brought me up some pancakes, and it was yummy. So I've just again used the label. I really love this paper, but there's not really enough there now for me to use it on anything else. But I really love the cameras, so I just fussy cut one of the little cameras out that I'll use as an embellishment on a later card. So yeah, I was going to put yummy, but I didn't want to take up any more of the photo. Normally I would have had yummy above the label, but it worked there with one of the little puffy hearts, and then one of the little clear stickers that just said perfect day, I think, and I just put that on there. Or life is great or something, because life is always great when you have pancakes in it. So this is my title card, and again, I get a label in a minute that I use my date stamp on, but it kind of all blended in, and I wanted that to be pushed forward. I wanted your eye to be drawn to the week number and the date. So I used the alpha stickers just to spell out week. I think it's week 32, but there wasn't enough space, so I had to move them. Then you'll see me outline. I use a little heart there just to kind of, so it doesn't look all like one word. And I just use a fine liner just to outline that, because it kind of blends into the background a bit too much. And then it still looked a bit basic, so I decided that I would just go around the edge of the card and write. Sometimes I do this with a bit of journaling, with whatever's going on in the card, but obviously this is a title card, so I actually just went round and put in some words or some phrases or some activities that we had actually done that week. So it was things that I hadn't documented on there with photos, but like the children had been to a dancing day, and they'd been to my parents, and I just kind of wrote that around the outside and separated them all with hearts. Because I'm using puffy hearts in some of the other clusters, I kind of liked to tie it all together. So this was just a really silly selfie that I thought that camera would have been perfect for, and I did want to put silly selfie, but the alphas were a bit too big and would have covered the photo, so I just put selfie, or silly. I can't remember what word I chose now. Selfie, I'm sure I did. Does anyone else love a good Snapchat filter? I actually think this was a Facebook filter. I don't think it was Snapchat. So yeah, and I just put a bow in my hair just to make me look a little bit more silly. And then the last card is a picture of my pooch. He is a complete and utter mummy's boy, and I can't get away from him for 2 minutes. If he's not on my feet, he's beside me. And this was a photo. Ever since we rescued him about a year ago, and ever since we've had him, he hasn't come into the bathroom, but he's now taken to lying in the bathroom floor while I'm in the bath. But he's adorable, so I don't mind. So guys, thank you so much for joining me, and you can catch more of my process videos and blogs over on my channel, which is UglyBugPlans. I would love to hear from you down in the comments below of what you thought about this kit, how you cluster, or any tips that you may have for myself or the rest of the UK scrap addicts out there on tips for clustering. And until next month, I will speak to you soon.